On a misty hill above Zagreb, where the Medvednica mountain stretches like a sleeping beast, the ruins of Medvedgrad Castle stand as both a landmark and a warning. Even on sunny days, the ancient stones seem to hold a chill, a subtle reminder that this fortress has watched over centuries of secrets, betrayals, and whispered legends. Locals speak of it in hushed tones, calling it not merely a castle, but the domain of a restless spirit, the Black Queen, a woman whose cruelty and ambition carved her name into the nightmares of medieval Croatia. To this day, hikers claim that when the clouds roll in, a strange echo moves through the trees, as if the mountain itself is still carrying her voice. The story begins in the 13th century, when Zagreb was still a vulnerable medieval settlement recovering from Mongol invasions. King Bela IV of Hungary ordered the construction of Medvedgrad to protect the growing city below. Built with thick stone walls and commanding views of the Sava River Valley, the fortress was a symbol of power and safety. But where there is power, there is also intrigue. Over the centuries, Medvedgrad passed through the hands of noble families and ambitious rulers, each adding to its legend. Yet it is one woman, Barbara of Cilli, forever remembered as the Black Queen, who transformed this castle from a military outpost into a place of fear. Barbara of Cilli was no ordinary noblewoman. Born into the powerful Cilli family of Slovenia, she was married to King Sigismund of Luxembourg, one of the most influential monarchs in Europe. Intelligent, politically shrewd, and strikingly beautiful, Barbara quickly became a force in the Hungarian-Croatian kingdom. But with power came rumors. Court chroniclers described her as ambitious to the point of ruthlessness. Some whispered that she dabbled in dark arts, that her beauty hid a calculating mind capable of manipulation and betrayal. By the time she was widowed, Barbara controlled vast estates, including Medvedgrad, and her reputation as a Black Queen was firmly established. The nickname Black Queen was not merely about her taste for dark clothing or her widowhood, carried a far more sinister meaning. Legends claim that Barbara struck secret deals with dark forces to maintain her wealth and independence in a world dominated by men. Peasants told stories of her summoning storms to destroy her enemies' crops, of punishing servants with merciless cruelty, and of hoarding treasure stolen from desperate villagers. As the story spread, Medvedgrad became a castle of shadows, where villagers feared to tread after sunset. Some even believed that Barbara herself had built a network of hidden tunnels beneath the fortress, not only to escape sieges but to conduct clandestine rituals away from prying eyes. Standing today in the ruins, it is easy to see how such stories took root. The castle sits high above the city, its crumbling walls forming dark silhouettes against the sky. The forest surrounding it is dense and unsettling, alive with the sound of rustling leaves and distant animal cries. In the Middle Ages, when superstition colored every unexplained noise, Medvedgrad must have felt like the edge of the world. Travelers passing through the forests at night reported seeing lights flickering in the windows long after the castle had supposedly been abandoned. Some claimed to hear the clatter of hooves on stone, or the low, mocking laughter of a woman echoing across the valley. But legends are rarely born from pure invention. Barbara of Cilli's real life provides fertile ground for myth. Historical records confirm that she was one of the richest women in Europe and that her appetite for power often put her at odds with church authorities. She was accused, though never convicted, of heresy and even of practicing alchemy. While many of these accusations were likely political smears, they gave peasants and rivals alike an excuse to paint her as a witch queen, a woman whose wealth and independence must surely come from dark bargains. After her death in 1451, her treasure allegedly remained hidden somewhere within Medvedgrad or its tunnels, a lure that has driven treasure hunters to the site for centuries. The legend of the hidden tunnels adds an irresistible layer of mystery. According to local folklore, a labyrinth of passageways snakes beneath the castle, connecting it to secret exits in the mountain. Some say the tunnels stretch all the way down to Zagreb's old town, allowing the Black Queen to move unseen between her fortress and the city below. Others claim the tunnels lead to underground chambers where Barbara performed forbidden rituals, seeking immortality through arcane knowledge. Though no definitive map of these tunnels has ever been found, explorers continue to report narrow stone corridors and blocked archways beneath the ruins. Each discovery only deepens the mystery, fueling speculation that the most dangerous secrets remain sealed behind centuries of rock. Even the mountain itself seems to conspire with the legend. Medvednica, whose name translates to Bear Mountain, has long been associated with wildness and hidden dangers. Before the castle was built, Slavic tribes considered the area sacred, believing that spirits and forest gods dwelled among the trees. Some folklorists suggest that the Black Queen's legend is a continuation of these older pagan fears, a medieval Christian cloak over much older stories of dark female deities who ruled the wilderness. In this interpretation, Barbara of Scilly did not create the legend. She merely inherited it, becoming the latest incarnation of a timeless archetype, the powerful, dangerous woman who defies human control. Today, visitors to Medvedgrad can walk among the ruins and imagine the lives once lived within those stone walls. The main tower still offers sweeping views of Zagreb, a reminder of why this location was so strategically important. Yet the atmosphere remains heavy. Guides tell of hikers who feel sudden chills even on warm days, or who claim to see a figure dressed in black moving through the trees. Photographers capture strange orbs of light near the old chapel, while paranormal enthusiasts set up cameras and audio recorders hoping to catch a whisper from the past. Whether these phenomena are tricks of the light or something more, they keep the legend alive, inviting each new generation to question where history ends and myth begins. As night falls, the ruins take on an even more ominous character. The forest grows silent, the pathways darken, and the wind carries sounds that defy easy explanation. Those who linger after dusk sometimes report the faint sound of footsteps following them, though no one is there. Others speak of a woman's voice, soft yet commanding, murmuring in a language they cannot understand. Some swear that if you stand at the edge of the main tower and listen carefully, you can hear the Black Queen herself, laughing softly, as if amused by the living who dare to trespass in her domain. This is the world into which we now descend. A place where history and legend blur, where a powerful queen's ambition gave birth to stories of witchcraft and hidden treasure, and where tunnels carved into the mountain may still hide the truth. Was Barbara of Scilly truly the cruel sorceress of peasant fears, or merely a brilliant woman vilified by a patriarchal age? Did she really build secret tunnels beneath Medvedgrad, or are they nothing more than the fantasies of treasure hunters? In the shadow of the Black Queen's castle, these questions linger like the mountain mist, unanswered and perhaps unanswerable. The journey into this mystery has only begun. To uncover the truth behind the Black Queen's legend and the secrets buried beneath Medvedgrad, we must descend deeper into history, sift through the fragments of fact and folklore, and dare to enter the dark passages where truth may be waiting. To truly understand how Barbara of Scilly, Zagreb's feared Black Queen, became the center of one of Croatia's most enduring legends, we must descend into the turbulent politics of 15th century Europe. Her story was not born in isolation. It emerged from a world in which kingdoms rose and fell with the shifting loyalties of nobles, and where superstition often carried as much weight as law. Barbara's reputation as a cunning strategist and a woman of almost supernatural influence took root, because her life unfolded during a period when ambition could be mistaken for sorcery, and when a single rumor could define a legacy for centuries. Barbara entered this volatile stage at a time of crisis. The Kingdom of Hungary Croatia, though vast and wealthy, was under constant threat from the encroaching Ottoman Empire to the south and rival European powers to the north and west. Her husband, King Sigismund of Luxembourg, spent much of his reign locked in military campaigns and political negotiations. Barbara, left to manage estates and diplomatic relationships in his absence, quickly proved herself to be more than a ceremonial queen. She managed finances, oversaw construction projects, and negotiated with powerful nobles. In an age when women of high birth were expected to remain ornamental, her independence was startling and threatening. Contemporary chronicles reveal a woman who defied the boundaries of her gender. Barbara not only administered her own estates but also secured control of Medvedgrad, a fortress that symbolized dominance over the region around Zagreb. From this stronghold, she managed trade routes and collected taxes, actions that directly challenged the economic interests of rival families. Nobles who resented her influence found it easier to brand her as dangerous rather than admit they were outmaneuvered by a woman. Accusations of witchcraft and black magic followed, not because there was evidence, but because such claims resonated with a fearful populace eager to explain her extraordinary success. Medvedgrad itself amplified her mystique. The castle was already an object of fascination, a fortress perched on the slopes of Medvednica mountain, with commanding views of the valleys below. When Barbara took residence there, it became a stage for both political maneuvering and rumor. Servants carried tales of her late-night meetings with alchemists and astrologers. Guests described lavish banquets that stretched into the early hours, where discussions of alliances and betrayals were whispered behind veils of smoke from flickering torches. Some accounts speak of a private chamber where Barbara consulted strange texts and experimented with potions. Whether these stories were exaggerations, deliberate propaganda, or kernels of truth remains a matter of debate, but they fed the growing image of a queen whose power extended beyond the mortal realm. The political climate only sharpened the legend. King Sigismund's death in 1437 unleashed a storm of succession disputes. Barbara, now a widow, found herself surrounded by ambitious men eager to claim her lands and wealth. Instead of retreating, she maneuvered skillfully, forging alliances and defending her rights through both diplomacy and calculated defiance. The more she resisted, the more enemies accused her of unnatural influence. Religious leaders condemned her as immoral. Rival nobles described her as a temptress who ensnared men with spells. Each insult paradoxically enhanced her reputation. The Black Queen was not merely a slur. It became a symbol of her refusal to bow to the patriarchal order. During this period, rumors of hidden tunnels beneath Medvedgrad began to circulate with new intensity. Siege warfare was a constant threat in medieval Europe, and secret passageways were a practical necessity for escape or resupply. But in Barbara's case, the tunnels became something more than military architecture. Peasants whispered that the passages were not only escape routes but places where dark rituals occurred, where the queen communed with forces beyond human understanding. Stories spread of flickering lights deep beneath the mountain, of muffled chants echoing through stone corridors. Shepherds claimed to see strange figures entering concealed doorways at night, only to vanish before dawn. Modern archaeologists have confirmed that Medvedgrad contains several underground chambers and partially collapsed passageways. Some are clearly storage cellars and cisterns, essential for surviving a siege. Yet others remain unexplored, sealed by centuries of rockfalls and overgrowth. The absence of definitive maps invites speculation. Did Barbara commission additional tunnels for secret meetings or hidden treasure? Or were these merely functional spaces that folklore transformed into sites of sorcery? Each unanswered question adds another layer to the castle's magnetic pull on historians and adventurers alike. The treasure legends deserve special mention. According to popular belief, Barbara amassed immense wealth during her lifetime: gold, jewels, rare manuscripts, much of it hidden in Medvedgrad before her death. Some versions of the story claim she made a pact with the devil to protect her hoard, cursing anyone who attempted to recover it. Over the centuries, treasure hunters have scoured the ruins, digging in basements and probing sealed tunnels. None have emerged with proof, but occasional discoveries of coins, ceremonial objects, and fragments of fine jewelry keep the hope alive. Each find, however small, reinforces the tantalizing idea that the true fortune remains buried just beyond reach. The legend of the Black Queen was further solidified by the political chaos that followed her death. Without her formidable presence, Medvedgrad fell into decline. Successive owners struggled to maintain the fortress, and by the 16th century it was largely abandoned. Nature began to reclaim the site, covering walls with ivy and filling tunnels with debris. As the physical structure decayed, the stories grew. Peasants traveling near the mountain claimed to hear the echo of clanging gates and spectral voices carried on the wind. Some swore they saw a figure in black standing atop the ramparts during storms, her cloak whipping like the wings of a great bird. These sightings, repeated over generations, turned Barbara from a historical figure into a supernatural guardian of the mountain. The church played a complicated role in preserving, and perhaps embellishing, the legend. Monks and priests who sought to warn parishioners against greed or ambition often invoked the Black Queen as a cautionary tale. Sermons described her as a woman who valued power over piety, whose soul was condemned to wander the earth guarding her ill-gotten riches. Yet church records also contain grudging respect for her administrative skill and charitable donations. This duality, villain and benefactor, witch and patron, gave the story a moral ambiguity that ensured its survival. Listeners could fear her and admire her in equal measure. By the 19th century, when Romantic nationalism swept across Europe, writers and poets rediscovered Medvedgrad as a symbol of Croatia's turbulent past. Travelers from Vienna and Budapest hiked the mountain to marvel at the ruins and recount the chilling tales of the Black Queen. Folklorists recorded peasant stories of glowing lights, phantom processions, and cursed treasure. Each retelling added flourishes. Secret lovers betrayed, hidden libraries of forbidden knowledge, mysterious disappearances of those who ventured too deep into the tunnels. The line between documented history and creative invention blurred completely, leaving a narrative that is as much myth as fact. Today, historians attempt to separate the woman from the legend, but even rigorous scholarship cannot fully dispel the aura surrounding Barbara of Scilly. Archival documents show a capable administrator, a widow fighting to preserve her inheritance, and a patron of the arts. Yet these same records hint at unexplained wealth, sudden shifts of fortune, and political gambits that seem almost too daring for the time. Whether these reflect brilliant strategy or something more enigmatic is left to interpretation. Visitors walking through the ruins feel this tension. The cold stones speak of real battles and real lives, while the shadows whisper of hidden corridors and eternal curses. As night falls over Medvedgrad, the city of Zagreb twinkles far below, a modern metropolis unaware, or perhaps unwilling to acknowledge, the layers of history beneath its lights. The castle stands in silhouette against the sky, a dark crown on the mountain's brow. Somewhere beneath those stones, sealed by centuries of silence, the tunnels wait. Are they merely relics of medieval engineering? Or do they guard the final secrets of a queen whose name still commands fear? The next chapter of this journey will venture deeper into the physical ruins and the psychological landscape of the legend, tracing the footsteps of explorers who have dared to descend into the mountain's hidden veins in search of truth or treasure. The night deepened over Medvednica Mountain, and a damp wind howled through the forest as if echoing the cries of the past. Travelers who dared to climb toward the ruins of Medvedgrad after dusk often spoke of a strange sensation, an invisible weight pressing on their chests, the scent of wet stone mixed with something older, almost metallic. For centuries, locals had whispered that this was not mere imagination, but the restless spirit of the Black Queen herself, determined to guard the secrets hidden beneath her fortress. The legend of the curse begins with greed. According to folklore, the Black Queen, known in life as Barbara of Scilly, hoarded unimaginable wealth within the walls of Medvedgrad. Gold coins from distant markets, jewels plundered from fallen nobles, and relics of questionable origin were said to be buried deep in secret chambers. Some tales insist that Barbara made a pact with dark forces to protect her treasure. In exchange for eternal guardianship, she would never know peace in death. Her soul, bound to the castle, would stalk the tunnels forever, punishing anyone who dared to steal her riches. Generations of villagers swore they had proof of this curse. Old records describe sudden landslides, mysterious illnesses, and unexplained disappearances in the hills around Medvedgrad. Shepherds claimed to see a pale woman dressed in black, her eyes glowing like embers, standing on the ruined ramparts during storms. Others heard voices echoing from beneath the ground, low murmurs in an unknown tongue that faded when approached. Whether these were tricks of the wind or something far darker, no one could say with certainty. But the promise of treasure was too tempting for some. In the late 19th century, when Croatia was gripped by a wave of romantic nationalism, amateur explorers and fortune seekers began searching for the legendary tunnels. Armed with lanterns and crude maps, they pried open collapsed passageways and dug into the mountain's belly. Few returned with anything more than scraped knees and bruised pride. One group of miners claimed they discovered a narrow shaft sealed with ancient stones, but as they tried to widen the opening, A sudden tremor caused the earth to collapse around them. They barely escaped with their lives. Afterward, all of them reported the same nightmare. A black-cloaked figure watching silently from the shadows. Modern historians have offered more rational explanations. They suggest that the so-called tunnels might be remnants of medieval escape routes or storage cellars, common in castles of the era. Medvedgrad, built in the 13th century, likely contained cisterns, dungeons, and passages leading to hidden exits. During sieges, these tunnels would have been vital for smuggling supplies or evacuating nobles. Over the centuries, landslides and earthquakes could have sealed most entrances, leaving only fragments of the network intact. Yet even the most skeptical archaeologists admit that some parts of the fortress remain unexplored, concealed beneath layers of stone and forest growth. In recent years, technology has reignited the hunt for Medvedgrad's secrets. Archaeologists equipped with ground-penetrating radar and drones have mapped the ruins with unprecedented precision. Their findings are tantalizing. Beneath the central courtyard, scans reveal voids and cavities inconsistent with natural formations. One chamber, larger than expected, lies directly beneath the tower traditionally associated with the Black Queen's private quarters. Was this merely a storage room, or the legendary treasury? Excavations continue cautiously, hampered by the fragile state of the ruins and the ever-present danger of collapse. While scientists seek answers, the legend continues to evolve in the hearts of locals. Folklorists record new variations of the curse every year. In one chilling version, the Black Queen rides at midnight on a black horse with flaming hooves, circling the castle walls and descending into the earth through a hidden portal. Anyone who meets her gaze is doomed to wander the tunnels until sunrise, their soul forever marked by her wrath. Another story claims that her treasure is protected by a riddle only the pure of heart can solve. If a thief approaches with greed, the walls themselves will shift, trapping the intruder until the mountain reclaims them. Even today, thrill seekers and ghost hunters venture into the Medvednica forests, drawn by the thrill of danger. Some bring cameras and electromagnetic sensors, hoping to capture proof of the supernatural. Others come with nothing but flashlights and adrenaline. Many describe sudden drops in temperature near the ruins, as if stepping into a pocket of ancient air untouched by time. Some report whispers carried on the wind, soft, feminine, and unmistakably calling their names. Whether psychological suggestion or something inexplicable, the experience leaves a lasting imprint on those who dare to enter. But perhaps the greatest mystery is not the treasure, nor the tunnels, but the woman at the heart of it all. Who was the Black Queen really? Historical records paint a complex portrait. Barbara of Scilly was a powerful noblewoman in the 15th century, married to King Sigismund of Hungary and Croatia. She was educated, politically astute, and unafraid to challenge the male-dominated court. Her enemies called her ambitious and cruel. Her allies admired her intelligence and independence. When Sigismund died, Barbara was accused of witchcraft and imprisoned by her rivals, a fate that only fueled the legends of her dark powers. Whether villain or victim, she left behind a legacy that blurred the line between history and myth. As night falls over Zagreb and the lights of the city flicker in the distance, the silhouette of Medvedgrad still commands the skyline, a dark crown atop the mountain. From below, the fortress appears both majestic and menacing, a reminder of a time when fear and fascination intertwined. The locals say that if you listen carefully on a moonless night, you might hear the faint echo of hooves or the rustle of a cloak against stone. Some dismiss it as superstition. Others avoid the mountain entirely, unwilling to risk an encounter with the restless queen. Whether the tunnels hide gold or only shadows, their pull remains undeniable. Each generation sends new explorers into the forest, armed with flashlights, drones, and smartphones instead of lanterns and shovels. Yet the outcome is always the same. Medvedgrad keeps its secrets. The Black Queen's curse, real or imagined, ensures that her story endures, not as a relic of the past, but as a living mystery that continues to haunt Croatia's capital. For now, the ruins stand silent, but not empty. Beneath the cracked stones and ivy-covered walls, something waits. whether it is treasure, truth, or the lingering echo of a queen who refused to be forgotten. The path to Medvedgrad narrows as it climbs, twisting between gnarled trees and jagged rocks. In daylight, the forest feels almost welcoming, the leaves catching the sun in flecks of emerald and gold. But as dusk approaches, shadows stretch long and deep, and the cheerful chatter of birds fades to an unsettling silence. Those who attempt the hike after sunset speak of an eerie transformation, as if the mountain itself draws a breath and waits, listening. Guides warn visitors to stay on the marked trail, not only for safety but for something harder to explain. Wander too far and you may find yourself in places no map dares to show. Legends say the Black Queen's tunnels are not merely physical. Some locals insist they are alive, a labyrinth of stone that shifts and deceives. An elderly woodcutter once told of a night when he followed a faint light into the ruins, only to discover that the walls around him had rearranged themselves. What had been a clear path moments earlier became a dead end. He swore he heard footsteps behind him, slow, deliberate, echoing in perfect rhythm with his own. When he finally stumbled out, the sky was already bright with dawn, though he swore he had entered just after twilight. His tale is one of dozens collected by folklorists, each describing lost time, disorientation, and the feeling of being watched. Such stories might sound like superstition, yet the ruins themselves invite unease. Medvedgrad's remaining walls rise in jagged silhouettes against the sky, their stones darkened by centuries of storms. Cracks spider across the masonry, and ivy snakes over crumbling battlements like veins of green blood. The central courtyard lies open to the elements, but the entrance to the old cistern still gapes like a black mouth in the earth. Archaeologists have confirmed that this cistern once held the castle's water supply, but villagers whisper it was the gateway to the underworld. Some even claim the Black Queen drowned her enemies there, their screams echoing through the tunnels below. Modern explorers approach with caution. Equipped with headlamps, ropes, and high-resolution scanners, they map every inch of the fortress, documenting faint carvings on the stone. Some markings resemble medieval heraldry. Others defy explanation: spirals, crescents, and symbols that do not match any known language. One team discovered a series of strange scorch marks deep within a partially collapsed chamber, as if a fire had burned hot enough to fuse stone. Carbon dating offered no clear timeline. The scientists proposed a mundane explanation, perhaps a lightning strike or a forgotten torch, but the locals whispered of something older, a ritual long erased from history. The deeper one ventures, the more the mountain seems to resist intrusion. Equipment malfunctions without warning. Batteries drain at impossible speeds. GPS signals flicker in and out. Cameras capture inexplicable blurs of light, streaks of violet and silver that dance along the walls before vanishing. When researchers review the footage, some frames show shapes that resemble a figure. A tall woman draped in shadow, her face obscured. Skeptics blame lens flares and technical errors. Believers point to the Black Queen's vow to guard her treasure. Those who dare to linger after midnight often describe a distinct presence, neither hostile nor welcoming, but undeniably aware. One young photographer recounted setting up her tripod near the old tower when she felt a sudden chill. Her breath clouded in the warm summer air, and a faint perfume, sweet, metallic, like crushed violets and iron, filled the space. When she turned, a silhouette stood atop the ramparts, cloak fluttering though no wind stirred. The figure watched her for a heartbeat, then dissolved into mist. Her photos from that night show nothing but empty stone and sky, yet she insists she will never return. Meanwhile, underground exploration continues, though cautiously. Engineers use ground-penetrating radar to chart cavities beneath the castle, revealing an intricate honeycomb of voids. Some appear to connect to natural caves deeper in the mountain, suggesting that the fortress may sit atop a vast karst system. This geological complexity offers practical explanations for the shifting sounds and sudden tremors reported by visitors. Yet even the scientists admit that certain anomalies defy easy answers. One unexplored cavity beneath the northern wall emits a low-frequency hum detectable only with specialized equipment, a vibration too steady to be random but too faint to pinpoint. the search for treasure remains an irresistible lure. Treasure hunters have scoured the site for generations, convinced that Barbara of Scilly's legendary hoard lies hidden beneath layers of stone. Old manuscripts describe rooms of gold guarded by darkness, while regional ballads speak of keys of blood and iron. Over the years, would-be fortune seekers have dug pits and pried open sealed doorways, often with disastrous results. In the 1920s, a group of smugglers reportedly unearthed a small chest filled with coins stamped with unfamiliar symbols. Before they could present their find, a sudden landslide buried the excavation site, crushing their equipment and nearly killing them. The coins vanished, fueling speculation that the mountain itself intervened. But not all who search for the tunnels seek wealth. Some come chasing truth, determined to separate history from legend. Among them is Dr. Ivana Kovacevic, a Zagreb-based historian who has dedicated her career to Medvedgrad's mysteries. In interviews, she describes the site as a convergence of fact and fear, where political intrigue, natural geology, and human imagination intertwine. Her team has uncovered records suggesting that Barbara of Scilly was indeed accused of occult practices, charges likely exaggerated by rivals seeking to tarnish her reputation. Yet Ivana admits that certain aspects of the legend remain stubbornly persistent. Every culture needs its ghosts, she says. Medvedgrad's ghost just happens to wear a crown. Local residents treat the castle with a mixture of pride and caution. School children take daytime field trips to learn about medieval Croatia, but few families visit after dark. The forested slopes are dotted with small shrines, candles, crosses, and tokens left by those who hope to appease the Black Queen or perhaps seek her favor. Some hikers leave offerings of bread or honey, recalling old folk practices meant to pacify restless spirits. A few claim that these gestures bring good luck, though no one dares to test the opposite. As Zagreb sleeps below, the fortress looms above like a silent sentinel. On moonlit nights, its silhouette dominates the skyline, a jagged crown against the stars. From the city's upper streets, one can see the faint glimmer of light reflecting off its stones, though no official lighting system exists. Some attribute this glow to the city lights below. Others insist it is the Black Queen's lantern guiding or warning those who look up. For those brave enough to stand within the ruins at midnight, time feels suspended. The wind carries whispers from unseen corridors, and the stones seem to hum with memories of power, betrayal, and fear. Whether these sensations are supernatural or simply the product of centuries of storytelling hardly matters. In that moment, standing on the edge of history and myth, every visitor becomes part of the legend. The Black Queen's castle does not merely preserve the past. It consumes it, reshaping each retelling into something new. And somewhere beneath the cold earth, the tunnels wait. Perhaps they are nothing more than forgotten escape routes, choked with rubble and roots. Perhaps they lead to chambers untouched since Barbara of Scilly's reign, where gold and jewels still glimmer in the dark. Or perhaps they are something stranger still, passages that defy the logic of stone and time, existing only for those willing to believe. Whatever their nature, one truth remains. Medvedgrad reveals itself only to those it chooses, and once you enter its shadow, the mountain never truly lets you go. Dawn breaks slowly over Medvedgrad, painting the horizon in shades of pale rose and silver. From Zagreb below, the fortress appears peaceful, an elegant ruin poised above the city like a guardian carved from the mountain itself. Yet those who have spent the night within its walls speak of a different reality. They describe an unsettling quiet that lingers long after sunrise, a silence so dense it feels alive. Birds eventually return to the trees, but for a few haunting minutes the forest holds its breath, as if reluctant to release the secrets buried beneath the stones. Historians continue to debate the true legacy of Barbara of Scilly, the woman who inspired the legend of the Black Queen. Records paint a portrait of complexity, a politically shrewd noblewoman navigating a violent era of shifting alliances, betrayals, and power struggles. Some chroniclers portray her as a victim of propaganda, vilified by rivals who feared her influence. Others argue that her sharp intellect and relentless ambition made her both formidable and dangerous. What remains indisputable is that Barbara was one of the most powerful women of her time, a queen who ruled not merely through birthright, but through sheer force of will. The darker elements of her legend, whispers of poisonings, pacts with unholy forces, and cruel punishments for disobedience, likely reflect the anxieties of a patriarchal society unsettled by a woman who refused to remain in the shadows. Medieval Europe often cloaked strong women in tales of witchcraft or corruption, transforming political skill into something sinister. To her contemporaries, Barbara's intelligence and independence might have seemed unnatural, even threatening. The label of Black Queen, with its echoes of sorcery and danger, became both an insult and a mythic crown. Yet the legend endures not simply because of gendered politics. There is something undeniably magnetic about Medvedgrad itself, something that invites stories of hidden treasure and restless spirits. The fortress occupies a strategic position overlooking Zagreb, its walls commanding views of the Sava River and the distant plains. It was built to project power, to intimidate would-be invaders with its sheer, unyielding presence. Over the centuries, wars, earthquakes, and neglect have stripped it of soldiers and banners, but the structure's skeletal beauty remains. Standing amid its crumbling towers, one senses a place designed not only for defense, but for drama. That drama fuels modern fascination. Tour guides lead visitors through the ruins by day, recounting tales of the Black Queen's cruelty and the mysterious tunnels that snake beneath the mountain. They gesture toward the ancient cistern, where some say the Queen drowned her enemies, and toward the northern wall, where ground-penetrating radar has revealed cavities still unexplored. They speak of treasure hunters who vanished without trace, of explorers who emerged shaken and pale, unable to explain lost hours or strange sounds in the dark. Each story deepens the castle's aura, blurring the line between documented history and timeless myth. Zagreb itself embraces the legend with a mixture of pride and caution. Festivals celebrate medieval traditions, musicians perform ballads of the Queen's defiance, and souvenir shops sell black crowns and miniature towers. At night, however, few residents willingly climb the mountain. Taxi drivers refuse late fares to the site, citing mechanical troubles or vague scheduling conflicts. Hikers who brave the forest after sunset leave offerings of bread, honey, or small coins at roadside shrines. Some claim these gestures bring safe passage, a practice rooted in ancient Slavic customs of appeasing restless spirits. Whether one believes or not, the rituals persist, a silent acknowledgement of something beyond mere stone and soil. For scientists, Medvedgrad remains a puzzle rich with possibilities. Archaeologists map every chamber, seeking artifacts to illuminate the daily lives of its medieval inhabitants. Geologists study the karst formations beneath the mountain, intrigued by unexplained vibrations and cavities that may hold clues to Croatia's seismic history. Engineers debate whether the tunnels are natural cave systems, military escape routes, or a combination of both. Each discovery adds another layer to the narrative, proving that the site's mysteries are not only supernatural but profoundly human, a meeting point of politics, geology, and imagination. Writers and filmmakers find endless inspiration in this interplay of fact and folklore. Screenplays reimagine Barbara as a tragic heroine, a brilliant strategist condemned by fear and envy. Novels recast her as a dark sorceress guarding a treasure of forbidden knowledge. Travel bloggers recount their own eerie experiences, weaving personal encounters into centuries-old tales. Every retelling keeps the Black Queen alive, transforming her from a historical figure into a living myth. In this sense, Medvedgrad itself becomes an active participant in storytelling, shaping each visitor's perception and feeding their creativity. What draws people back, again and again, is not merely the promise of gold or ghosts, but the deeper question of what the Black Queen represents. Is she a symbol of power reclaimed, a warning against unchecked ambition, or simply the embodiment of our fascination with the unknown? Perhaps she is all of these things at once. In a world where ancient castles coexist with modern skyscrapers, her legend reminds us that some mysteries refuse to be tamed by progress. The Black Queen's shadow stretches across centuries, challenging each generation to confront its own fears and desires. As evening falls once more over Zagreb, the fortress regains its commanding silhouette. From the city's upper streets, one might catch a glint of light flickering along the ramparts. Perhaps it is a reflection from the city below. Perhaps it is nothing at all. Yet for those who know the stories, the sight stirs a familiar thrill, a quiet recognition that some places are more than the sum of their stones. Medvedgrad is one of these places, a fortress where history and legend intertwine until neither can be fully separated. Visitors who descend the mountain often describe a lingering sensation, as if part of them remains within the ruins. Some speak of vivid dreams in the nights that follow, labyrinths of shifting stone, a woman's distant laughter, a crown that glows with cold fire. Psychologists might attribute these visions to suggestion, the natural result of powerful storytelling. But to the dreamers, the experiences feel unmistakably real, a final gift or warning from the Black Queen. In the end, whether the tunnels conceal treasure, spirits, or nothing more than ancient rock, their true power lies in the imagination they ignite. Medvedgrad does not merely preserve the past. It invites each visitor to participate in its ongoing legend. To stand within its shadow is to feel the thin veil between reality and myth, to sense the heartbeat of a story that refuses to die. So if you ever find yourself in Zagreb, look to the mountain as night approaches. The Black Queen's castle awaits, its stones etched with the memories of ambition, betrayal, and unyielding mystery. Step carefully, listen closely, and remember, some doors, once opened, echo forever.